What does a father owe a son who turns his back on everything he's been given? I sat in my study that night, the weight of my son's words, "I don't owe you anything," ringing in my ears like a verdict. The air felt heavy, the kind of heavy that settles when love and resentment collide. My pen hovered over the will, its ink ready to rewrite a legacy I'd spent decades building. This wasn't just about money. It was about trust, sacrifice, and the unspoken vows of family. I'd raised Ethan alone after his mother passed. Nights spent working late at the factory, I'd come home to find him asleep, clutching the stories I'd read him. I saved every penny, not for myself, but for him, his education, his dreams, the house I hoped he'd fill with his own family one day. He was my purpose, my pride. But somewhere along the line, the boy who'd once looked at me like I hung the stars became a stranger. At 28, Ethan was all sharp edges, angry words, reckless choices, and a heart hardened by grudges I didn't fully understand. That evening, we'd argued again. It started small, over his refusal to visit for Thanksgiving, but it spiraled. "You think you can control me with your money," he spat, his voice cold. "I don't owe you anything." The door slammed, and he was gone, leaving me with the echo of his defiance. I sat there, stunned, the old oak desk beneath my hands feeling like the only solid thing left. That's when I pulled out the will. As I stared at the document, memories flooded back. Ethan's first bike, the way he'd grin when I cheered at his soccer games. But those memories were drowned out by recent years. His dropped college classes, the loans he never repaid, the nights he stumbled home drunk, blaming me for his failures. I'd always believed love was enough to bridge any gap, but his words cut deeper than I'd expected. Did he really believe he owed me nothing? Not even respect? Not even a conversation? Then came the twist I hadn't seen coming. A soft knock at the door broke my thoughts. It was Mrs. Carter, our neighbor, her face etched with concern. "I saw Ethan's car speed off," she said, stepping inside. "He dropped this." She handed me a crumpled letter, addressed to me in Ethan's jagged handwriting. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a confession I hadn't expected. Ethan wrote of his shame, his struggle with addiction, his fear that he'd never live up to my expectations. "I push you away because I'm drowning," he wrote. "I don't know how to ask for help." My heart sank. All this time, I'd seen his anger, but not the pain beneath it. The letter changed everything. I set the will aside, my anger dissolving into something softer: regret, maybe, or hope. I thought of my own father, a man who'd left me nothing but lessons in resilience. I'd built this life for Ethan so he wouldn't have to struggle as I did, but maybe I'd been too focused on giving him things instead of understanding him. The will wasn't the answer. It was a reaction, a way to control what I couldn't. Instead, I needed to reach him, not push him further away. I tore up the will that night, not because Ethan deserved it, but because I wasn't ready to give up on him. The next morning, I drove to his apartment, the letter tucked in my pocket. When he opened the door, his eyes were tired, guarded. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but softer than before. "Not about what you owe me, but about what we owe each other." He didn't say much, but he let me in. It was a start. Family isn't a ledger of debts and payments. It's a messy, painful, beautiful commitment to keep showing up, even when it hurts. I don't know if Ethan and I will ever fully mend what's broken, but I know I'll keep trying. Not for what I'm owed, but for what we could still become. Yindi.